Hey, this is John. I had a dream last night regarding the prayer movement and the assault against the prayer movement, and the fact that the majority of the assault is actually coming through the church. Now, of course, we know it's the enemy that is doing everything he can to stop the prayer movement, but this dream, it's striking. And I'll share it with you in just a moment. I want to set it up for you just a little bit. First of all, the enemy does much to come against prayer, come against intercession. And so it shouldn't surprise us when this happens, but it saddens me. It blows me away. And, for example, I received a chat on one of my websites. Someone showed up and started chatting with me. And long story short, he started um, basically revealing his opposition to the International House of Prayer and prayer, the prayer movement. And he actually said this. He said that there were people that were praying against a local house of prayer here in the area, and they prayed it closed. And I'm thinking, no, you did not just say what I think you said. And he did. They prayed it closed. So there was a prayer movement against a prayer movement. And you see how it's witchcraft intercession, folks, when you start coming against God and you start cursing things that God is blessing. This is dangerous. This is a big, big deal. Now, in the dream, my dad was a key figure in the dream. My dad passed away a few years ago. But my dad, he launched something called the Uninterrupted Prayer Team, or the UP Team, in the Branson, Missouri area. It was wildly successful, had a lot of traction, and I'm looking at an article here. Let me show you. Oh, there we go, right there. This is my dad. This is a website that I developed for my dad after he passed away. You can't see it really well, but up here, that's his last sunset. I took that picture on the last day that he was with us, but he was a legend, really, in Branson, Missouri. Changed so many lives. His memorial service was standing room only. Oh my gosh. I had the opportunity to call people into a lifestyle of just prayer and fervency, in Jesus. But, and you can check out this. I encourage you just to go for the sake of checking it out. Go to johnburton.net/Bob Burton, and you can see the whole website. But he started the UP Team, and I'm looking at another monitor here with some information on it. The UP Team when this article was written by my dad, they were up to 152 out of 168 weekly time slots, weekly hours of prayer. And due to overlap, they were at 285 hours of prayer per week. And so, like father, like son, it's actually really remarkable how he was involved in that, and then I'm involved in the 1,000. We're looking for 1,000 intercessors that can be located anywhere around the world that will pray for Detroit, pray for revival. So goes Detroit, so goes the nation, so goes the nation, so goes the world. And so this is a hot spot of revival. Chuck Pierce just prophesied that there's a move of God coming. There's a lot of prophetic activity on this. But my dad, like I said, was in the dream. Let me share one more interesting piece of information before I share the dream with you, where I talk about the assault of the church against the prayer movement. Like I said, like father, like son. And when I lived in Colorado Springs, my parents lived in Branson, Missouri, and we would go to the International House of Prayer every now and then. So we would drive over to Kansas City, and then sometimes we'd drive down and see my parents in Branson, which was just another 3 hours away. But this time we were just going to Kansas City. Well, my dad had never been to IHOP, and I didn't have it. I didn't even know that he had ever wanted to go. Well, on this trip, I go to IHOP. I get into the prayer room, and I have my laptop out, and I must have put something on Facebook or Twitter or something, and said, just got to IHOP in the prayer room, posted a picture. And a few hours later, I got an email or a message from my dad. He was blown away. He said, based on the timing of when you posted that, we just missed each other by 5 minutes. He said, I visited IHOP for the first time in my life, and we left to go back to Branson 5 minutes before you arrived. Now, Now that's a cool story, but it's more significant than just being cool. I really believe this. I believe that my dad was certainly a forerunner in the prayer movement, and he showed up at IHOP, and I showed up 5 minutes later. And and just praying about it, I really felt the Lord saying that you and your dad have the same DNA. You won't be running together, but just by missing each other by 5 minutes, but you will pick up that mantle where he left off. And so my heart is absolutely prayer and intercession. That's who I am. Well, so in this dream, I had this dream last night. Woke up, had a conference call with Michigan prayer leaders, shared it with them as well. And I believe you all need to hear this because you need to be alert to how the enemy wants to come against the prayer movement, but also how simple it is for us to stay in a place of victory. In the dream, my dad was still alive, but he had been assigned to be executed. And he was going to be executed by those that he loved, those that loved him, those that were in the church. And I was an emotional wreck. I was grieved. I was crying. Emotionally, I was distraught. And it was such a strange situation where there I was with my dad, and the setting was he was up on a hill, a dry, dirty, just a dirt hill, and he was up there, and I went up to see him, and he was like 2 or 3 hours away from the execution, and it was going to be a public execution. And I went up, and when I was talking to my dad, I asked him this question, what's going on, Dad? And he just said this. He said, well, this is an assisted suicide. Assisted suicide. And what? What? And what's happening, what I got out of this was that the church is attempting to gain agreement from those in the prayer movement to kill the prayer movement through discouragement, through frustration, through resistance, rejection. And so the church is attempting to gain agreement of those in the prayer movement to kill off the prayer movement. And so it's assisted suicide. And so this is a spirit of death that we've got to break off. We absolutely must. I felt like the forces against my dad were just too strong to even consider any chance of my dad not avoiding this death sentence. Well, after that, I'm walking around. I'm walking through the dirt road, and I look down, and I see this old, really nearly a broken lighter, like you might just see on the ground, like crushed a lighter, like a cigarette lighter. And I picked it up, and there was some instructions on the lighter, and it said this: simply light one candle, and it will stop the execution. Something like that. Had instructions on it. Light one candle. And so I picked up the lighter and started to play with it. It wasn't easily lighting. And then I woke up. And I came out of that. Of course, that was just this morning. And I actually woke up at like 4:30 in the morning and couldn't really fall back to sleep. Slept maybe another 45 minutes after that, before the conference call. The takeaway is that the church is absolutely assaulting the prayer movement and has lost its identity as a house of prayer and is threatened by the prayer movement. Because to be a person of prayer means you've got to embrace a lifestyle of depth and hunger and pursuit and passion and intimacy with God, and that honestly that's threatening to a lot of people. And I was in Colorado Springs, and was and participated and led a prayer movement there. We were in over 100 churches there. We've done the same thing in Detroit. We've been in over 70 churches in the Detroit region, hosting prayer events, prayer meetings, and met a lot of amazing people. And it's a powerful movement of unity. But at the same time, I've met a lot of pastors and a lot of people that just do not pray. They don't understand prayer. They don't get it. They seem to be handcuffed. It doesn't come naturally. And it's rampant in the church. And so the idea of a prayer culture in the church is incredibly threatening. And so the spirit of the age that has crept into the church is opposing the prayer movement. But all we have to do is pray. We have to light that fire. We need to make sure the incense rises, that the fire on the altar never goes out. It's simple. It's not hard. And so this is what's going on right now. This is just messing me up, and to think about the legacy that my dad had and the prayer movement in Branson, and now the prayer movement that we had in Colorado Springs, and now what we're seeing here in Detroit. And of course, with everything that's going on and our friends that are out there that are advancing in prayer. And, I think Rick Warswack is the man of the hour right now, just humbly and boldly advancing prayer in the region. Lou Engle is Detroit's on his radar. And so we're doing everything that we can to pray, and we cannot be discouraged. We cannot give in to the spirit of the age. We cannot allow the church to bring an execution to the prayer movement, which is what this dream represents. The church cannot execute the prayer movement. The church cannot execute the prayer movement. And the fact that it was a public execution speaks to me that the attempt is going to be quite bold. There's going to be there will be theological arguments against the prayer movement, and it will be publicly displayed that no, we do not embrace the movement of prayer. And just like the individual that visited my website and told me that he prayed and others prayed for a house of prayer in the region to shut down. And I'm telling you, man, the fear of the Lord better be on the church. But every one of us can't sit back. We have got to pray. We've got to gather. We need to be in the presence of God. We need to pray in the Spirit. The fire of God has got to erupt out of us. So the 1,000, we're looking for 1,000 people. This is a mandate from the Lord. I just didn't come up with this number. This is a mandate from the Lord. Several years ago, the Lord spoke to me right when we got to Detroit. He said, John, you need more intercession. There must be more intercession. And I had 6 or 7 personal intercessors at the time, and I thought, well, I'll increase that to maybe 10. That'll be good intercession. And God spoke very directly. He said, no, you need 10. You need 100 times that. So you need 1,000 intercessors. And then I think it was the next week after that Cindy Jacobs got the word, or released the word of the Lord, that we need 10,000 intercessors over the state of Michigan. It was confirming 1,000 for Detroit, 10,000 for the state. And I want to encourage you to contact me. Go to johnburton.net and use the contact form on that page. Some of you have done this already based from previous videos and communications. Please keep doing that. I'm going to be working on this particular project right here and making it easy for you to be a part of the 1,000 intercessors for Detroit. We need you right now. And I'm gonna get this done quickly so you can step in and start praying. Well, of course you can start praying right now, but strategically and organizationally, I'm going to get on this, and we're going to be able to connect and compare notes and pray. And so just stay tuned. If you want to be a part of the 1,000, I want you to contact me right away, even before I have the system in place. It won't take long. Hopefully later this week I'll have that done. And but contact me and let me know that you want to do that. And I want to encourage you to check out a resource right here, Revelation Driven Prayer. This is a book that's full of stories on how we can be effective in prayer. I mean, just dramatic stories of God moving and God just working miracles through a prayer life where we hear His voice and we declare and decree what He's saying, and we move in great boldness in response to His voice. And so check that out. Go to johnburton.net/resources. I know it's a little bit hard to see there, the cover, but check that out. And I just want to encourage you just to grow in your prayer life. Of course, connect with us here locally. If you're in the Detroit region, we are praying all the time. I think we're over 70 hours of prayer right now. at the Detroit Prayer Furnace, and I want to invite you to participate with us. You know, we have public events that are going on and personal prayer watches. The Lab School of Fire, the Lab University, that's going to be a key way to get connected and equipped. And so jump in with us. But if you live anywhere in the world, you can do this. Pray about what I shared. Pray about that dream. You know, pray about this revival that's coming. Pray about what God's doing in your life. We don't want to see a prayerless church any longer. It is time to burn and never stop burning and to declare with boldness the truth of the Word of God. And I want to gather together like-minded people that are just ready to do this. Let's do this together, everybody. Let's see a movement in Detroit that is so powerful that the news agencies around the world are reporting on it. Amen. All right, good. Contact me. Go to johnburton.net.